All this and more coming up in today's Going Underground. But first, straight to Ramallah and Ahed Tamimi, the Palestinian teenager who has become emblematic all around the world of the struggle for justice in the face of UK armed occupying Israeli forces. Ahed, welcome to the show. 1 year since the start of the Great Return March. How important is peaceful resistance to the occupation?
Of course, resistance in all forms is important so that we can express our rejection of occupation, which is a right to any occupied country to resist in their own appropriate way. Great Return marches in Gaza are meant to express a rejection of occupation, as well as to demand the right of Palestinian people to return to their lands, which were occupied by Israel, who forcefully removed the original inhabitants out of their towns.
Across Britain today, there are marches in solidarity with you and the Palestinians, but let alone today, the Israelis responded to the march in Gaza with sniper fire. What would you say to Theresa May and the British government sanctioning UK exports of sniper rifles to Israel?
The UK government is completely controlled by Israel, who are the biggest supporter of terrorism. They encourage the killing of Palestinian people. All participants in the Great Return March in Gaza are posing no threat to the Israeli soldiers. However, they have been directly targeted. Great numbers of Palestinians, women, men and children who participated in the Great Return March were martyred. The UK is completely occupied and controlled by Israel, and it is supporting Israel to kill innocent people who are demonstrating for their rights. The whole world is defeated. We are alone. But I am pretty sure that the Palestinian people will bring back dignity to the whole world, even to the UK, who is supporting Israel. The UK brought Zionism to Palestine in the era of the British Mandate. We will eventually end this occupation. Their power will not last forever. Humanity and right always prevails over fake power.
But Netanyahu says it is Israel that is unfairly targeted with kites, balloons, fireworks and rockets.
As I said, Israel is an occupying entity, and the international laws guarantee all occupied countries the right to resist by their appropriate way. Israel has no right to kill any innocent child or anyone in Gaza, even if 1,000 rockets were launched from Gaza. Gaza rockets are a normal reaction for the Israeli presence. We are talking about a besieged country that suffers from severe poverty, with refugees who are not able to return to their lands, which were occupied by Israel. This is their right, and it is a normal reaction to the Israeli presence on their lands.
You have been targeted as a child in the West Bank. The UN says 32 children were killed in the Gaza Return March. Wissal Khalil was the youngest girl, 14 years of age. Israel, is it deliberately targeting children?
Of course they're deliberately targeting the kids. They're barriers which disrupt children from going to school. They don't want them to be educated. They're breaking into schools, closing schools, demolishing schools, arresting children, deliberately shooting children in the streets. They arrested many innocent children. All this reflects that they are indeed targeting children because they do not want a new Palestinian generation to be strong enough to confront them.
But the Israeli Justice Minister Ayelet Shaked, who is competing against Netanyahu in upcoming elections, says they have to die and their houses demolished so they can't bear any more terrorists. This applies to the mothers of the dead. How can Palestinians continue to demonstrate if that's what the words of the Israeli Justice Minister are?
They have no right to harm any Palestinian, and this is another reflection to their terrorism. They want nothing but to kill all Palestinians so they can take all their land. They believe that all Palestinians should be killed, which also shows that they are racist.
Most of those fighting the UK armed occupation are Christians, Muslims, people of other faiths and none. Israel's national law says only Jews should have the rights of self-determination. What did you make of that new law?
This shows the real apartheid and racist system that Israel has. Exactly like what happened in South Africa between the white and the black people. Judaism is a religion like any other religion, but the Zionist movement wants to do whatever it wants under the cover of the Jewish religion. We always say that there is a difference between Judaism and Zionism because there are Palestinian Jews, Syrian Jews, and Arab Jews who are supporting the Palestine cause. The cause is not a religious cause, it is a political cause, where the Zionists want to take over Palestine using the Jewish religion.
Up to 700 Palestinian children are jailed each year. Amnesty International claiming children who are obviously not killed are beaten, throttled, shackled and tortured. Your interrogation was leaked on YouTube. How did you remain silent under threat from Israeli soldiers? They were armed and you were 16.
I was surprised by the huge emotional support that I received from the whole world while I was detained. When I was released and returned back home, I was surprised too by the huge number of people who came to my house to welcome me, which greatly raised my spirits. I hope other detainees in the Israeli prisons will receive the same support that I had, so we can deliver their message and suffering to the whole world.
Your father was on this program as you turned 17 in jail. Remind us how many members of your family have been killed or tortured by Israel.
My uncle, my aunt and my cousin were martyred. My other cousin was injured. My brother and my other cousins are detained right now. My family witnessed many violations, but we will not surrender to their actions or any other means of putting us under pressure. Even if they kill, shoot or arrest any of us, we will deal with it as a strength point, not as a weak point. They want to humiliate us, but this will not happen. We will continue fighting till the last day of our lives.
You're in Ramallah. Do you think Syed Nasrallah of Hezbollah was right when he said this week that Donald Trump would recognize Ramallah de facto as Israeli after the recognition of Western Syria, the Golan Heights, as Israeli?
The Syrian Golan Heights and all of Palestine will be free one day, and we will return back to our lands. No one has the right to decide who will take control of the Golan Heights or Palestine or the West Bank. Trump has no right to decide or to give any land to Israel whenever he wants. But we will continue struggling till Palestine and the occupied Syrian Golan Heights are free, until all Palestinian refugees return back to Palestine.
And is it true that you may soon be coming to Britain to study international law to make a career in human rights?
I was thinking of studying in the UK, but when I applied for the visa, they asked why I was arrested, and whether I've ever applied for other visas, and whether they were refused. And they continued to delay procedures, so I probably will not be able to come to the UK. To be honest, the UK will refuse my visa if Israel requested them to do so. So I'll continue studying in Palestine.
The Tory government, its Home Office, says decisions are actually independent. No possibility that you won't be de facto banned from being educated here?
It is not about having hopes, but it is obvious that their decision is not independent. Otherwise, they should have accepted my visa earlier like any other visas. If they are interested in granting visas for Palestinians, they should allow them to come to the UK without a visa, like the Israeli people. The UK government is racist and it is supporting the Israelis, not the Palestinians, because it considers them as a danger that threatens their country.
Finally, you've said that you are not a victim of the occupation. The settler child forced to fight for the IDF is. Do you pity Israelis?
Of course I pity them, because they are dehumanized. They're only filled with hatred. As I said before, it is not about occupying the land, it is about occupying the mind. The 13-year-old settler who holds a gun has an occupied mind. However, Israel only occupied our land, but they never occupied our minds.
طبعا هم أخذوا أرضنا بس ما قدروش يحتلوا عقلنا زي ما عملوا.
We are still resisting the occupation, and the Jewish people should resist and try hard to deliver the real image of their religion. They should deliver a message to all the people that the Jewish people are different from the Zionists who want to achieve their goals under the pretext of advancing the rights of the Jewish people. I think that all forms of resistance are vital and effective, even in short or long terms, and it is a guaranteed right for all occupied countries to resist and fight with their own appropriate way.
Ahed Tamimi, thank you. After the break.